Welcome to the Jeremy Mullins podcast, where we take a deep dive into different educational topics to help you optimize your life. I am Jeremy. I'm your host, and I'm here today with my co-host, Mr. Reno.
Hey.
Third official podcast here in the new headquarters studio, located just outside of Lexington, Kentucky. Is it
Nicholasville.
Nicholasville.
Yes.
Okay. I was going to butcher that.
Yeah. Yeah, we are 9 minutes south of Brandon Crossing, 15 minutes south of UK.
Gotcha. Okay. Too, it was pretty driving down like the rolling, I don't want to call them hills, but
Yeah.
hills.
Yeah, you pass a lot of farmland, a lot of cattle land, a lot of open land. And then we have R.J. Corman, which is the largest railroad company in the country.
Okay.
Across the street.
Awesome. It's pretty.
Very pretty.
It's pretty down here. And what I thought about, it's just like, man, it'd be awesome. A little bit of traffic on the road that came in, but just thinking about riding that on a road bike, having those rollers, like coming down those rollers really hard and then just hammering up the other side. Now you would get tired doing that, but it would be fun.
Yeah, there's a lot of bikers. They start in Lexington and they go south here, which takes you towards like it's all country hills, but it's just like what you see here. It's just up and down, open roads. A lot of road bikes go up and down during the lull periods.
Awesome. Well, today is going to be on cycling, right? So, I think I like cycling, right? And I'll just tell people this. I'm going to push people to get on bikes. So I'll just say this is personal because I enjoy it. I look back at phases of my life when I'm riding my bike a lot. Like I feel like I'm in shape. I feel like things are going well. So I just want to talk about the benefits of being on a bike, right? Mm-hmm. And one of them is in looking at my notes, it's my big broad. I really don't have many notes for today's, but it's habitual runners and cyclists live longer, have better health as they age, and have less mortality rates than those, or more less morbidity from causes related to disease. So why wouldn't you want to be a runner or cyclist? And let's face it, as you get older, running's a little hard on the joints.
Yeah.
So therefore, I come to the conclusion that we all should get a bicycle and ride bikes.
Yeah. I love it because there's more bang for my buck. Like I go further, I do it longer than I do running. So it's just a win-win for me.
It's a win-win. So, but hey, shout out to one of our sponsors, Green Up Wealth, because if you live longer, you're going to want a little more finances.
That's right.
In the bank for retirement.
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't have a financial planner, if you're not working with anyone for your will, your estate, knowing what the future is, reach out to those guys and gals. They will do a free consult with you. They'll talk to you about where you're at now, where you need to go, and if it's a good plan to work with them or not. Right? Because I know a few of our people have called them and they've talked it out and it just wasn't a good fit where they were at.
Yep.
Right? Which is cool. They'll tell you that. But if it is a good fit, you can hire them, work with them, and they can take care of you once again as you live longer, making sure that you've got the finances to live a good quality life in your later years.
My favorite thing about them is they only make money when you make money.
Right.
Compared to others.
Correct. Where, hey, for me to manage your account, I'm going to charge you whatever.
1%,
yeah, I'm going to be your
3%, whatever.
I'm going to be your financial advisor. I'm going to charge you a monthly fee, but you're going to lose money. No. They only make money if you make money. So that is the beautiful thing. Now, I want to say with cycling, guys, a couple of things to think about. Like there is a lot of benefits to it that are other modalities of cardiovascular training too. So we're going to try to speak on what we think are the cool aspects of cycling that you can't get from other things, right? Like for example, you can go and you can swim every day. Swimming is great cardiovascular fitness, right? It is awesome with no load, right? So we're talking about that earlier as a benefit of cycling versus road running or running, is that you don't have the impact, okay? You see a lot of older people swimming. I like it. Sometimes I get run out of the lap lane from the water aerobics group, right? They're kind of scary.
They are scary.
But one of the things I like about cycling is there is a great community and social group around cycling. And you get into that in your local area and you generally find people to ride with. You find out that there's meetings with groups, there's group rides. And generally speaking, there's bad apples in every single community out there. but the road or the biking community is very supportive, and you'll find a good social atmosphere around that.
Yeah. I don't have like a biking community yet.
And you're new, right? Like, I mean, technically, yes.
I bought your bike 5 months ago.
Yep.
If that. So I'm very new. And in fact, I didn't ride a bike before that for 12 years.
Yeah.
Since like BMX biking around Cincinnati. So,
what was some of your thoughts like when you first started like riding it, like compared to other exercise? And you mentioned earlier just being like, man, I can do this longer. It's cool. What was some of the things that like, just from your perspective was like, I like this. I enjoy this.
It felt nice just zooming up and down the roads of the neighborhood that I'm in, that I don't never go up and down these roads. Seeing the house, you see like the kids playing, you see the parents working on their cars, doing whatever they were doing. And the fun part was like, I'd go from curb to road, jump onto the curb, jump back onto the curb. Now it's a road bike with skinny tires, so you got to be a little careful. But it was just like feeling the wind like hit you, and you're going 20, 25 miles an hour up and down the hills. That was like, I had a smile. The first time I did it, I kid you not, for 25 minutes, I couldn't stop smiling.
It like, it brings you back to your kid childhood memories. Like, riding a bike is fun. Yep. And, you know, a couple of things I like, you mentioned out, yes, what I find about biking is in the same given time, if you have an hour to run, you have an hour to do exercise. And if you go outside and ride a bike, you cover so much more space in an hour of riding a bike than you would other running and stuff like that. So you get to see more. Yep. And I think that's important. I think it's important to get out and see your neighborhood, you know, see neighbors and all that. Like, I don't think it's good for people, you know, to sit inside and quote, do exercise by themselves all the time. So I think there's that aspect of getting outside is beneficial, you know, to us. Right. And I have down here family and outdoors. And that's the other thing. I know you guys don't have, you know, kids, but like, that's one thing I like about it is this is an activity that we've been able to do with our kids. Right? We got a pull behind for ours. So all of our children have road bikes with Katie and I in the pull behind. And now Brady's actually, this Saturday, he starts his mountain bike league. So he's going in and doing mountain bike as like a sport.
Yep.
And it's something that him and I will get to do 2 days a week together is go ride bikes. You know, so I think about that as just the opportunity to bond while we're doing physical activity, you know, is why people should consider getting a bike.
Yeah, I like that it's a sport. I know you emailed me a few weeks ago and all that stuff. Like, I'm so used to the traditional sports when I was growing up. It was like your basketball, football, baseball, softball, whatever. Like, now mountain biking is part of that's pretty cool.
And you mentioned earlier, I think this is important to people. Like, there's multiple bikes out there, right? And I'm not getting into like, you know, hey, well, I don't care. Get you one. Get you a cheap one, and then because here's what's going to happen. And it's the same conversation for you. You're like, Jeremy, I don't want to get an expensive bike. Yep. You know, so I'm just going to go to, I don't know if you're going to Walmart, Academy Sports, and whatever. You had this like $280 bike, and I was like,
a road bike for $300.
Yeah, and I'm like, dude, let me sell you this old gravel bike of mine. I want a new gravel bike. I was like, just take this one for the same price. Like, I just had it tuned up, you know. So the point being to everybody is like, go out, get you a bike, because if you enjoy it, you're going to spend, you know, yes, you're probably going to spend more money in the future to get a better one, but that first one you can buy, you can ride it and figure it out. Okay. Yep. Now, what I would say is I would probably tell most people to get either a gravel bike or a mountain bike. And the reason I say this, I like road riding, guys, but unfortunately you have to look at, it's 2024. There's a lot of people that are on their phones on the highway. Mm-hmm. And if you're new to cycling, you know, you might not have the confidence. You might not know where to ride on the road, that type of stuff. So most of the riding you're going to do is maybe on like paved trails or on dirt roads or on mountain bike trails, right? So if you get something that can do all of that, I think that'll be most beneficial. And a gravel bike will do that. They make the gravel bikes that they make now, you can take on some trails, you know, or of course a mountain bike. You could definitely ride it on paved. Yep. Just a little bit more resistance, but still just for the fun of it, you could. So that's where I would say, you know, if you're looking first, you know, kind of looking into that as far as what type of bike.
Yeah. Yeah. Doing this whole Ironman stuff. I haven't been running as lately, but just buying those shoes alone, I think they were $180. And of course you're going to go through 2 or 3 shoes in a year. And your bike, the entry bike that I was looking at was $300. That would have been good for a year plus.
100%. And I think that's a very good point. Like, yes, cycling, when you first look at it, you are going to spend some money, right? It's just because you don't have the bike, you got to buy the bike, and then some of the bikes you got to buy shoes for. You should buy a helmet also, right? So you're going to have a little bit more upfront costs, but at the end of the year, I would argue it would be just as cost effective as running, because if you get into running and you're going to run 3 or 4 days a week and you buy nice shoes, $150, you're going to go through 3 pairs of shoes a year. Yep. So you're going to have just as much money invested at the end of the year. And then for the cycling, you don't have to continue buying a new bike every year, yep. right? You have it, versus running, you would. Now, I'm not against running, guys. I'm just saying, like, me personally, I say go get a bike because I think it's fun. I think as adults, like, I look at it, our family vacations are, I don't want to say always based around biking, but they have been in the recent year. Katie did Leadville last year, so we spent 3 weeks in Colorado riding our bikes. Not every single day. We still do other stuff, yep. but it was like core component, right? Just went to my brother's up in Virginia, took the bike up there, right? And now, like, this is adult problems, okay? So my gravel bike I got, awesome bike, good deal on it. It has electronic shifting. Oof. Right? So I just push a button and it shifts. I guess.
And your batteries die.
Oh, yeah, 100% batteries are dead. You knew where I was going, right? So I get out.
Cold weather batteries don't do too well.
Yeah, so I think it was the cold weather, and I think they turn on when, like, they're jarred. So it wakes it up, for lack of better terms. So I think driving it with it on the rack 12 hours, like, yep. and in cold, my batteries were drained. So, of course, I get out and, like, I can't shift, and it's, like, in the easiest gear. So I'm just, like, spinning like this. But luckily, I brought my mountain bike, both my bikes. So I just rode back to the cabin and got my mountain bike and rode it. But it's just, it just becomes a lifestyle, right? And, plus, a group of our buddies were training for the War Daddy. And I think this episode will drop after I actually interviewed the race director of the War Daddy. It's yep. in southeastern Kentucky, small town. Like, we're meeting up with a bunch of buddies that are adult friends that, we have a text thread. We're always making sure each other are staying healthy and picking at each other and all that. Like, we all signed up for it. We're going to do that together, right? So that's a way to, like, spend time with friends that you don't see, but still be physically active. So my challenge to you, if you're on your journey and you're looking to find that hobby, make it a bike. Consider getting into cycling, considering, making it your hobby that is your wellness hobby.
Yeah. I'm way much more willing to get bundled up and go ride my bike for 30 minutes than yep. to go get bundled up and run for 30 yep. minutes.
Couple things with cycling I want to point out. Yes, like, can it work for fat loss? 100%, because you're increasing caloric expenditure, right? You're going out and riding, you can increase caloric expenditure. I would argue you can burn more calories cycling than you can running, just because, like, you can do it longer, as you said, right? Versus you got to get to where you're in shape enough and efficient to run, to burn those calories. The other thing I like about cycling, and remember, we talk about resistance training helping to reverse some insulin resistance on the cellular level. So if you look at benefits of cardiovascular fitness and cardiovascular things like cycling, running, rowing, it's mainly cardiovascular. It's not muscle. But with cycling, there's some data out there that shows us, like, especially like sprinting and, like hammering for 10 to 30 seconds really hard can help change that cellular insulin resistance on the cellular level. So help reverse some insulin resistance that's going on, just like resistance training. So that's another thing I like about it, because a lot of people can't sprint hard enough or fast enough to, like, get that ability, yep. right? So that's another benefit. So you can lower your risk of type 2 diabetes by cycling. Once again, increase your VO2 max. Like, there's so many benefits from an exercise standpoint, plus the social and all that. That's pretty damn cool.
It helps me cheat a little bit because, when you're running up a hill or running do something, a lot of times it's either stopping and just walking or just stopping in general. The bike,
shift to lower gear, spin up.
And you're like, oh, this is hard. There's always a lower gear. And that's what has been, I've actually loved the most, because I can push way harder on these uphill things.
And there's tons of events out there, guys. No matter where you live, you can find a cycling event, that's, once again, if you're on the competitive side of things, you can find competitive things, or you can just find rides. And most of them will be like, hey, come do this event. There's a friendly option where you're not really worried about it. You're just going out and doing it, which that's most of the time for, like, our bike races. Like, they're not races. It's a race, but it's an event that we're doing, And if you want help, reach out. I can help you kind of give you an idea of what to look for in a bike, those types of things. And then the last thing I would say is if you have children, there is a league called NICA. And NICA is a national league. Every state, I don't know if every state has a league right now. It's been a while since I looked at it. I know Kentucky does. I know West Virginia does. I know Missouri does. I know Florida does, because those are the states I frequent, right? It is for 6th graders to 12th, or to seniors in high school. And it's a league that is, yes, they have races, but it's more about learning skills on the mountain bike, learning, how to be a stewardess of the outdoors, of the trails, that type of stuff. And then, yes, they get into cycling, right? But it's very great for beginners, because it's not about the race in the beginning. It's about racing if you get into it. But it's about getting kids on bikes, right? So that's something I would say, if you've got a 6th grader or above, look it up. So it's NICA, NICA. That's the league, National Interscholastic College Association, or something like that. I don't have it memorized. Hey, let me look it up. I don't want to be wrong. It's a great thing about this tool I have. National Interscholastic Cycling Association, NICA, and then their National NTB on Instagram. So no association with them at all. It's just that is the league that, once again, Brady is getting into this year. I'm going to volunteer for our local club, as a coach / nutritionist, kind of just helping them out. And we're looking forward to that. But if you have kids, look into it. Have to be 6th grade or above to do it. And there's different leagues. Like Florida has what they call the winter league. I think Kentucky had a fall league. So I think Kentucky's just ended, right? And then they wouldn't start up until like summer of next year for the start of their season, versus summer or winter leagues are starting now.
Is it like cross country where your times matter and then as a team they come together, or is it still your team but you're individual?
Yeah, I don't know yet, because I'm just now getting into it. But yeah, I think it's they have teams, but the teams are based on placing. But the way that I understood it's 2 days a week they're going to mountain bike, right? And the mountain bike always starts out with skills. So they're learning how to pedal. They're learning to keep their pedals parallel versus dropping one of them, so that when they go around turns or routes, so it's a lot of skill development. But then they'll ride a couple of days a week. So that's what practices consist of. And then they have, for Florida's, I know there's 5 events, and those events are weekends. And I'm super excited because we're going to camp, right? So it'll be me and Brady and maybe one of our neighbors. It's a chance for me to spend time with him. And not the girls. And there's nothing like, I love spending time with the family, but this gives us a chance to kind of have our thing that we're doing together.
In those formidable years, too.
Correct. Yeah. Right? And listen, I want Brady to play sports. If he gets it and he wants to play basketball, or he becomes good at a sport, we will support that. Mm-hmm. But I also know that, if you just look at the percentages of people who go on to play college ball or go on to NFL or wherever, those are low, right? Yep. And cycling, once again, as we start back with this, I think it's something that people can do for a lifetime. Yep. And that people should do for a lifetime.
Just like golf.
No.
Just to throw that one in there.
Hey, but Brady actually likes golf. If he wants to do golf, cool. Yeah. I won't be able to help him with it.
You got to walk with your clubs.
Yeah, I may ask, Uncle Reno to come over and be like, hey, you need, because I don't golf. I've tried it a few times. I just don't get it. I'm not very good. I don't want to learn how to be better. And I got everybody's like, well, Jeremy, you can just practice and you'll get better. No, just, I'm good. Yes, the Tellem boots. I ain't worried about learning how to play golf. But yeah, so once again, guys, I hope you enjoy this one's a little fun, a little more, some education about why biking is, a good cardiovascular thing to choose, but also just from a personal standpoint, it's cool. Yeah. I think, it will improve people's life to get a bike and ride it.
Right. Yep.
I think that could be a take-home message. It will improve your life to get into cycling and to ride.
Definitely.
Awesome. Guys and gals, we appreciate your support. We appreciate your downloads. If you need anything from us, reach out, and I hope you have a wonderful day.
See you.